Hello and welcome to another live English lesson. Can you hear me well? Okay, that's great. So, as you remember, last time we studied lesson 1 of your student's book, which was titled What Do You Do? We spoke about different um, jobs. And after that, in the previous lecture, we studied lesson 2, in which we studied 2 specified jobs, right? We read about Dr. Salwa and Hanan. Dr. Salwa is, of course, a doctor, and Hanan was or is an office manager. We studied everything concerning these 2 jobs, and we did some exercises in your activity book. I told you that we will study something about questions in English, right? So, can you hear me well? Because there may be some troubles in connection, just like yesterday. So, however, today we are going to study something about questions in English. So, as you know, speakers of English, as other speakers of other languages, use language to elicit information, and so they ask questions. You know that it is always good to ask questions, as you are bound to get answers most of the times. So, let us see the types of English or questions in English. What are they? But since we tend to define everything and we always try to find the exact meaning of everything, so what is a question? Can anyone define the word question in English? Try to use your own words. Tell me what a question is. What comes to your mind when you hear the word question? If you want to say it in Arabic, it's okay. But I want you to activate your minds, and tell me what is a question. Have you ever thought of it before? Okay, when we ask about something. Yes. By question, you always seek information, right? And we use questions daily. I mean, there is no day that you do not ask a question, right? You always ask those people around you questions. And even if you are alone, you tend to ask yourself a question, right? So it is obvious that you make use of the word question almost on daily basis, as I said. Okay. Usama says لا يوجد صوت. Usama, if you are using your mobile phone, there is a bubble which is just above the microphone logo or the microphone icon. Just click on it and you will hear me. You can, okay, I will, wait a minute. I will write to Osama. Okay, so we were speaking about questions. Now, a question is defined as a type of clause or sentence which has an information gap. And you know what is meant by a gap, right? And we need to fill this gap. For instance, if you ask the question, where did you do the party, for example, the information gap here is the place where the party is held. So so a question seeks or requests information from another individual, right? Now, let us speak about the types of questions in English. We have several types of questions, like tag questions, rhetorical questions, alternative questions. What we care about now are two main types. They are the yes-no questions and the WH questions. So, what is meant by a yes-no question? Can you tell me an example of a yes-no question, and what do you mean by yes-no question? Okay, Abdussalam, Miss iPhone says that the answer of a yes-no question should be yes or no. Exactly. So you get this information right from the name of this type, right? Yes-no questions are also called polar questions. Polar questions have to do with oppositions between positive and negative. And a polar question or yes-no question is a type of question which elicit or requires a two-way answer, positive or negative. It either gives the answer yes or the answer no. For example, give me examples of yes-no questions. Okay, Abdullah, you want to say something? If you want something, Abdullah, write it in the chat section. Exactly, Dima. The same question that I repeat every day. Can you hear me? And you answer yes or no. This is a yes no question. Do you play tennis? Yes, this is another yes no question. So, what else? Can anyone else give me an example of a yes no question? No one? The others are sleeping. It's okay. So, as you know, yes no question requires a yes no answer, either yes or no. Are you good today? Yes, this is another yes no question. Exactly. Are you hungry? Was he reading a novel? Is this book yours? These are all yes no questions. I mean, you can answer it with yes or no. You do not need to provide more information for yes no questions. Now, the second main type of questions is the WH questions. They are also called information question. Why do we call it information question? Why do you think that we call the WH questions information questions? The Salam says because when we answer, we should give information. Exactly. Because you should provide information in your answer to such questions. Now, this type of question, no, Abdul Salam. You should not say informations because information is an uncountable word. If you want to make it plural, you say pieces of information. Now, this type, I mean, the double-edged questions, uh, they get their names, or if we say the double-edged question gets its name from what? From the fact that it usually begins with a double-edged element, which we refer as question word. And you are supposed to be familiar with the double-edged words, right? I think that you studied the double-edged words during the previous year, right? We call it the double-edged word or the question word. Now, for example, can you give me example of double-edged questions? Where do you live? Yes, this is a double-edged questions. What are you doing? This is a double-edged question. Why do we call it a double-edged question? Because it starts with what? With a double-edged word, which we call a question word, right? So, and of course, you know how to form questions. I mean, the yes-no questions are easily formed by inverting the subject and object, and verb. And the double-edged question starts, as we said, with a double-edged word or a question word, and after that there's what? There is an auxiliary verb, and after that comes the subject and the main verb of the sentence or the question. Now, let us speak about what? You can hear me, right? Okay. So these double-edged words, in fact, we do not use them only as question words. Sometimes they are not used as question words, because when in English we call such words as what, whom, who, where, and so on. We call them function words. Sometimes we use these double-edged words as relative pronouns. Do you remember when we studied the relative pronouns? Do you remember them? As I told you before, the double-edged words can be used in double-edged clauses, or what we call noun clauses, like those you find in your activity book. Sometimes they act as subjects, or other times they act as object or even as adverbs, like the one we read in the sentence. If you check your activity book on page what? On page 79, you find this phrase, which is where she studied. This is not a question. Here, where is in the position of an adverb. It functions as an adverb here. Adverb of what? Adverb of place, right? And now you know how to differentiate between the question, the double-edged question, and the double-edged clause, or this noun clause. How can you differentiate between them? From the order of words or the formula of a phrase. If you see such a phrase in which there is a double-edged word and after that there is a subject or a pronoun, so this is not a question, right? But if we, for example, see one phrase like where is she, or where did she study, then it is a question. Now, I told you to do this exercise C, as a homework, right? In which you have to write questions for these answers. We said that there is an interview between a teacher's sister, who is a nurse, and who is called Nadia. So the students of one school made an interview with this woman, and this is the interview. But we have the answers only, and the questions are missing. I told you to write the questions. So let us do this exercise. Number 1, we have the answer. I work at the Red Crescent Hospital. So how to ask for this answer, or how to write a question for this answer? Where are your answers? Write a question for this answer. I work at the Red Crescent Hospital. I'm waiting for your answer. Yes, where do you work? Where do you work? This is the question. So, number 1, you should write, where do you work? Because we have this reply, or this answer. I work at the Red Crescent Hospital. She gives information about the place in which she works, or at which she works, because we have the preposition at. So you should ask about the place, and how to ask about the place by using where, the WH question where. That's right. So we were speaking about forming questions concerning exercise C of your activity book on page 79. So we said that the first one, where do you work, right? Now the second one, in which the answer is yes, I have to wear a uniform at work. So what is the question of number 2? What is the question that you should use in number 2? Do you wear uniform at work? Yes, but I want it more properly, just like Zainab said. Do you have to wear a uniform at work? Yes, exactly, Zainab. So the second question should be, do you have to wear a uniform at work? And the answer is yes, I have to wear a uniform at work. See, this is a yes-no question, and it is different from the previous one, which was a WH question. Now, in the second one, if you say yes, that's it. So you get the information, you get the answer, you get the idea without the need of more information. If the one whom you ask says yes or no, that's enough. And since she said, I have to wear a uniform at work, so you should say, or you should ask, the question should be, do you have to wear a uniform at work? Now, the other one, number 3, the answer is, yes, I like my job very much. Now, the question is, do you like your job? Yes. Do you like your job? This is the question of number 3. And this is again a yes no question. And here's the difference. If she says yes, that's enough. Now the other one on the other page, number 4. The answer is, oh, I usually have to work 10 hours a day. So, what is the question? What is the question that you should write for number 4? What is the question? Do not sleep. How much you have to work? Dima, you have to change it into what? Into what Zainab has said, which is, how long do you have to work? Without the word usually, how long do you have to work? So the question is, how long do you have to work? Because you're asking about the period of time, the duration of time, right? So, how long do you have to work? The answer is, oh, I usually have to work 10 hours a day. Now, number 5, the answer is, yes, it's very hard. It's very hard work, but I like taking care of sick people. So, what is the question of number 5? Okay, not do you like your work, because she is describing her work, right? Yeah, so just like Zainab said, with a slight change. So you should say, is it a hard work? Or is it hard work in general? Is it hard work? And the answer is yes, it's hard work. It's very hard work. But I like taking care of sick people. If the answer is yes, I like taking care of sick people, so the question should be, do you like your job? Or do you like taking care of sick people? But the answer is yes, it's very hard. It's very hard work. So the question should be, is it hard work? Now, the other one, number 6. Number 6. The answer is, I had to study for 4 years. I had to study for 4 years. What is the question? Yes, and because the answer is in the past tense, so you should say, how long did you have to study? How long did you have to study? Because the answer is in the past tense. Abdussalam, this is a question. So you cannot say how long you have to study. Where is the auxiliary verb after the WH word, which is how long? You should say, how long do you have to study? But since the answer is in the past time, so you should say, how long Did you have to study? Now the other one, number 7. No, I don't want to be a doctor. I love my job. What is this? What is the question for this answer? What is the question for this answer? No, I don't want to be a doctor. So easy, right? Yes, exactly. Exactly, Dima, Zainab, and Abdussalam. And the others are sleeping. Do you want to be a doctor? So the question is, do you want to be a doctor? Now the last one. 8. Every day. Oh, sorry, every day? Oh, I usually see about 40 uh, or 50 people every day. So what is the question? I will not tell you what is the question. I want you to say it. What is the question for point 8? How many people do you usually see every day? I will not tell you the answer. Unfortunately, we will lose the connection now. But I want you to come back just like every time. Okay? So I want you to come back. We will lose the connection, but come back in a minute. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So the others just fled away. So the last one, in which the answer was every day. Oh, I usually see about 40 or 50 people every day. So is that, you said the question is how many people do you see every day, right? So let us listen to this interview and see if we did it right. I mean, the whole of the exercise. Pay attention.
Unit 6, Lesson 2. Track 37. Listen and check your answers.
Where do you work? I work at the Red Crescent Hospital. Do you have to wear a uniform at work? Yes, I have to wear a uniform at work. Do you like your job? Yes, I like my job very much. How long do you have to work? Oh, I usually have to work 10 hours a day. Is it hard work? Yes, it's very hard work, but I like taking care of sick people. How long did you have to study? I had to study for 4 years. Do you want to be a doctor? No, I don't want to be a doctor. I love my job. How many people do you see every day? Every day? Oh, I usually see about 40 or 50 people every day.
So some of you couldn't hear the interview, but the others could. So maybe you have a problem in your connection. It's okay. I will post the the lesson afterwards, and you can check it. So now that's it for lesson 2. Now let's move quickly to lesson 3. Okay. So lesson 3, the title on lesson 3 is A Day in the Life of a Firefighter. Right? So what is meant by a firefighter? A firefighter. What is meant by a firefighter? Yes. And you can translate it even in English from, or you can just explain it from the word itself. A firefighter. He is someone who fights fire, right? Yes, exactly. He is someone who fights the fire. So when you hear the word firefighter, what are the things that come to your mind? Or try to say anything about a firefighter. What does he use? Or what is his job about exactly? Tell me about a firefighter. Use your own language. No ideas? You can say that he is someone who goes into a fire to fight it. He uses what? He dresses in a uniform. You can describe his clothes. I'm asking you, Abdussalam, to wait a minute, we have a newcomer, to give me a description of a firefighter, a description of his job, for example, and what he does. Speak about a firefighter. Tell me anything. Okay. Okay, so that's it. The others are sleeping. So in lesson 3, we have a firefighter who is called Mazen. Yes? Now here he is speaking about a day in his life, a working day in his life. So he says, when I arrive at the fire station, when I arrived at the fire station yesterday morning, can you complete his sentence? What do you think that he did when he arrived at the fire station? This is an incomplete sentence. So can you complete his sentence? When I came, um, I mean, imagine yourself as a firefighter and you arrived to the fire station. And so what did you do? For example, I say, when I arrived at the school yesterday morning, I went, for example, to have a tea. I read a newspaper. No, of course I will say, I went to, for example, to the second intermediate class. So just like that, you can complete his sentence. For example, he says, when I arrived at the fire station yesterday morning, I cleaned the fire engine. It's okay. So let us check this story. I think that we are running out of time, right? It's okay. We will just look at this story quickly. When I arrived at the fire station yesterday morning, I checked my equipment. The supermarket is on fire. Come quickly. What is this? Please, people are trapped inside. We pointed our hoses at the building. What is they doing here? We saved all the people. Accident on the ring road. On fire, upside down. Now, since we don't have time, I want you to write a story, simple one, concerning this day. I mean, a working day in Mazen's life, who is a firefighter. Try to use these pictures and the information that you find in these captions. Is this clear? Is this clear? Tamam. Tamam. Yes, what about the others? Is it clear, Zainab? Abdullah, Dima, Sidra? Okay, so try to write a simple story of this day, of this working day in the life of Mazen, who is a firefighter. And I think that's it for today. Next time, inshallah, we will complete studying lesson 3, and we will do some exercises in your activity book, and I will check your stories. I will post an assignment post in your Google Classroom. Please submit your answers, your stories to it, and we will discuss some of these stories during the lesson, inshallah. And that's it for today. Do you have any question? So everything is clear. Today we talked about the questions in English, WH questions, the yes no questions, and also we talked about the WH words when we use them in other functions as other for other reasons, not as WH questions. And we did this lesson. So everything is clear. And that's it for today. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Have a good day.